I don't mind working. Some people say they don't mind working forever because they enjoy what they do. I think I'm one of those people. I don't know why I would retire. I'm trying to think about it.
Yeah.
That likes to work? Yeah, I like to work.
Okay. Hey,
Dang, you trying to say I'm
Are
lazy,
you
bro?
saying he
not
don't
saying you're
work?
lazy.
What are you saying?
Welcome to the All Blends Perfectly podcast. Keith, Ryan, Harrison, Coalition Properties, and friends talking about the intersection between lifestyle, real estate, culture, art, and everything in between because it all blends perfectly. All right, friends, welcome back to another episode of It All Blends Perfectly. My name is Harrison Beecher. This is Ryan Butler, and this is Keith James. And today, my good friend Ryan, the money man, Ryan Butler, is going to lead us in a conversation about a phrase that's thrown around a lot and that historically meant like the pinnacle of everything with money and doing it $1 million, like $1 million. And we want to ask the question in typical Dave Chappelle fashion, how much is $1 million really?
Chappelle.
So Ryan, when I ask you that question, I say, how much is $1 million really? What is something that comes to mind? And where do we begin a conversation around talking about $1 million?
Well, I think we came up with this topic because I was talking to a friend of ours, and he was just happened to have a conversation. We're in a group setting.
Yeah.
He was talking about his financials with someone else, and the things he was saying, the way he was talking, the way he had saved, I was like, this guy might be a millionaire. I'm pretty sure he's a millionaire. And I asked him, he was like, no way.
Right.
No chance he's a millionaire. Couldn't be a millionaire.
Me?
Yeah, exactly.
He on the same way.
Who? Me? Not me. But it was so interesting because he grew up in a working class family.
Yeah.
Parents worked for the government, but more on the worker side versus the corporate side or the white collar portions of the government. And when we started going through the pieces of his life, I started asking him some questions like, how much you got in cash?
Right.
Like, how much is in your retirement account? How much is in your real estate? And when we add it all up, I mean, he was like 1.2 million. He's around 1.2 million.
Yeah.
He's like, I never even thought about it like that.
Wow.
And it was fascinating because then it brought up the question, how do you define a millionaire?
Yeah.
And not from a pretentious standpoint, but I think most people, especially in America, we have financial goals and economic goals. Not just because we want to be rich, which we might want to be, but also we know that you need those funds to protect yourself, protect your family, and future generations for your family.
Yeah, insulation.
It's defense more than anything, right? Protecting yourself. So just talking about like how much is $1 million really? What does that get you today? Is it enough? And when is enough? Yeah. So we just some questions that we want to answer and some discussions. And this is fresh for us too. So we're talking about this in real time. And like, let's just have a discussion over it, right?
Got you. So I think the first piece of this convo, which is important, and Keith, you've done a really good job at helping people really think about net worth as something they need to better understand. Because a lot of our clients and just the people we help look at real estate and investing, they got to understand net worth. And I was a part of it. Defining net worth is important. I'm gonna give the technical definition, and Keith, you talk about it a little bit. Net worth takes into account assets and liabilities, not just your liquid assets. So it is simply put, subtracting the liabilities you have from the assets that you have. And
what's a liability?
Yeah.
Liability is any financial obligation that you have to pay back. So bill, recurring debt, mortgage,
credit cards, student loans, mortgages,
because that doesn't bring you a return on your
medical
investment.
bills.
Exactly.
Something that
money
is an
you own.
outstanding bill, outstanding debt that you have to pay over and over again until it's completed your debt.
Yeah, it's funny because my favorite book of all time, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm reading that book right now, and it talks about how the middle class stays in debt a lot because they buy liabilities versus assets, but they think what they're buying are assets, but they're really buying liabilities.
Cars.
Yes.
Nice car. Fancy
Nice
car.
car.
The nicest car. Well, I feel like there's a your average
some
person
classic
can't
cars.
access the asset car that like actually appreciates, but most cars that consumers have are liability.
Right.
And I think it boils down to whether the debt is good or bad, because that's usually the question.
Yes.
So you can have liabilities, and one might call them a quote unquote good debt. One might call them, depending on your financial philosophies. If the debt that you take out allows you to buy an asset that increases in value, one would argue that it's a good debt. If the debt that you take out allows you to buy an asset that decreases in value, one would argue that it's a bad debt. Simple example is buying a home that appreciates in value. That's going to be considered a good debt because the asset you bought is increasing. Could it decrease? Absolutely.
Right.
Do we tend to look at real estate as an appreciating asset? Yes, we do.
Do you count your personal residence that you live in as an asset? Or
I
liability?
absolutely do.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't do that, and they say, well, it's not making you any money. Say, oh, assets don't make you money.
Right.
Not right away. You can either have cash flow assets or you can have transactional assets. If I buy a stock, I don't make any money till I sell it, right?
Correct.
Right.
If I buy a house that I live in, if I sell it and I make money, I made more money than what I had. There's got to be an asset. You can't say it's not an asset. So I think it's still now it's not a cash flow producing asset.
Right.
If you're living in it and you're paying a mortgage yourself every month. But to say it's not an asset, to me, that's silly.
Because you still can leverage that asset, pull money out.
It's
do
got to
whatever
be
you
an
got.
asset.
Yeah.
I can leverage it. I can pull money out. I can sell it. I can do something. That's just
Right.
like having a piece of gold. I can't do anything with a piece of gold until I sell it.
Right.
Is that not an asset?
And that's why I always say to our clients is that we can't afford not to buy those assets because we have to be insulated and we need to play defense. Like we start from playing defense, so therefore we can play offense, you know? And a lot of times, I had a client today ask me, like, why do people not buy houses? You know? And I think the fundamental issue is they don't understand how money works. They don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability. And also they don't understand taxes.
Yeah, I think a lot, and more people want to buy homes than I think.
Absolutely.
Like people want to buy it, but they might not. There's some education differences, right? Like or ignorance rather.
Yeah.
There are some things that people don't understand, and there's some people that just don't want to buy the houses.
Yeah.
Right.
For whatever reason, you got
if
something
you want to
coming through.
travel around, if you want to be like a nomad, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I mean, we got a good friend, Doug. Shout out to Dougie
Shout out
Finley.
to Dougie.
Shout out to Dougie Fresh out there.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, Dougie Finley. But to his credit, he did buy a home.
Oh yeah.
So he bought a home, even though he
Romy
doesn't
Rome
live
still
there.
ain't got a home yet. Romy Rome, man, come on,
Come
bro.
on.
He got.
Wrong.
But look, he is, and the only roll back. We talked about a definition of liabilities and gave a few. I'm gonna give a formal definition of assets according to the internet. No, actual good source.
The internet.
The internet.
This is the International Financial Reporting Standards definition. So this is like real fancy. You're gonna love all these words. An asset is a present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events.
Come on, bro.
An asset is the present right of an entity to an economic benefit. Simple, right?
Yeah, it's very
real simple.
It's very simple. Very simple.
But there are a lot of definitions of assets, different types of assets: fixed, intangible, current, right? What we're talking about and what most people need to understand when you're doing your math is that purchasing real estate is one of the most tangible assets that you can leverage, and that while you own it, there's more options that can go along with it. So back to my buddy Romy Rome. Romy Rome was special. Love you, man. Special about you, even though you don't invest in real estate, is he is extremely active in investing in both other assets, the stock market. He is constantly doing things with his money. So I'd argue folks that may not need to purchase real estate, I think everybody should consider it, but the folks who are actively deploying their capital to gain a return and using, almost kind of leveraging their money as an asset, right?
Money is an asset.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like leverage, but that takes more skill and thoughtful like offense instead of just defense, right? I want to protect against loss instead of deploying to grow. Those are the kind of things he's doing. And it's a different mindset, but it is possible to do it that way too.
Well, I think a lot of business owners you'll see might not be as aggressive on real estate. You basically choose how you want to generate your money at a high level. So if I want to generate tons and tons of cash. That's usually through business ownership. And then how I invest that cash is usually one of two things, major things. Either you're going to do stock market or you're going to do real estate.
Right.
You can do both, of course, but a lot of times people are choosing one and or the other.
Why do you think that's the case?
I think it's just simple with the stock market. Like, they're not worried about the headaches. It's less stress.
Right.
It's less noise.
Yeah.
When you just have stocks, like, especially if you're going about the whole concept of S&P 500, just keep putting it in there and eventually it goes up. You don't even care to look at it. You just keep putting the money there over and over again, and it goes up, and you don't have to worry about it. You just got money when you look up 20 years from now. But you're making enough money to live the lifestyle you want to live already, so you don't actually need the cash flow from real estate or something else like some people choose to have.
Love it. All right, so we defined a little bit more net worth. Ryan, can you help us put $1 million into perspective? Because another part of your conversation was helping people realize, like, on the positive side, what you can do with $1 million, but also, especially in an area like DC, I think there's a conversation around perspective and how much is $1 million really?
Yeah, like, what is $1 million really?
Just $1 million really.
Well, I think before we go there, I want to make a couple points.
Okay.
The first couple points is when you talk about $1 million, there's a couple different ways you can look at it, and there's ways that people look at it differently. So far we've discussed it from a net worth perspective. That's adding your assets, subtracting your liabilities, and having over a 7-figure number for that.
Right.
In that situation, that counts both liquid and illiquid assets. Some people look at $1 million as well, or when they think about it, is I need $1 million liquid. That can be cash.
Yeah.
That can be stocks.
In a bank account or in an account where I could move
I can
it
get it
somewhere.
in 24 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours. I need my money
there.
right now.
Right.
I need my money now, Craig. Oh no, I need my money now, Brian. That's a better one. So $1 million cash. Got to count it carefully. The next thing, I'm up here just throwing all of it. Today's the day, right? Today's the day with the bars out. We put the bars out there today.
Hey, man. Be great. Be great. Be your best self.
Be your best version of yourself. And so the next piece is having $1 million that you make every year in income. Because some people only think about being a millionaire as making $1 million.
Yeah.
There's a jaded version on all of that, I think. There's there's a little bias on all three of those perspectives.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to make $1 million, have $1 million in the bank, and have millions of dollars in assets? That's probably the best version of that, right?
Yeah, it is.
That, and in my head, I'm like, that's a millionaire.
That's a millionaire.
Like, that's a millionaire to me.
That's because you hit all three. Yeah, I mean, you kind of get to define what it is. You can take one of the definition that already exists, or you can say, this is how I'm defining success right now.
Right.
And that is having $1 million in cash, having millions in assets, as well as having $1 million coming in every year in income.
That's when people say multi-millionaire. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's 8 figures at least. And there's
Multi is more than one.
see, I'm saying I got different definitions, right?
But I mean, it depends on who's counting the money. It depends on, like,
What you
going
mean?
when you going to the bank on paper.
On paper,
you're a
yeah.
millionaire, right or not? Like,
Yeah.
the bank is going to ask you, okay, what assets do you have? And when you do have those million, if you are on paper a millionaire, you get more leverage.
For sure. Now, here's a great example of why this is important. So you'll hear terms from financial advisors like high net worth individual, ultra high net worth individual.
Ultra high net worth.
That's usually defined as having liquidity of $30 million or more.
Right.
Ultra high net worth. So when you're in that one, that's when
Yeah.
you might be in the same room as Bezos.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Because you got the invite. Now you're not gonna be at his table,
Right.
but you got a ticket into the room.
Yeah.
So $30 million in cash, and so I think that and what was I going with that?
Depends on who counting the money
Depends on who counting the money.
for leverage purposes.
Well,
I got
here
you.
go.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Man, I found it. Today's the day, though. So,
Got it.
all right. So, if you wanted to go and do development, for example, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when you're doing, because we're into real estate, investments, developments, all these different things. One of the requirements from big banks is that you have $1 million liquid and $5 million net worth. a lot of the reasons why we talk about net worth is because that's what the people who are giving us money, that's what they're requiring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if I want to go and build something and they need $1 million net, liquid and $5 million net worth, I have to show that. Otherwise, me and the bank can't be partners.
Right.
Now, if I'm not going to go do stuff with real estate or need to borrow money like that, it kind of don't matter.
Yeah.
But if I am, like, you got to play by the rules, right? And even on other things where you buy, you need at least 10%. So say you buy something for $7 million real estate. They're going to want to see at least $700,000 in liquid funds, as well as probably close to $7 million in net worth.
Yeah.
So that's why some of these things are important, because it's how you partner with other people that's showing your validity there. That's something to think about.
And I mean, the encouraging part of when you brought this topic up and what I think people need to hear is calculating for yourself.
Yeah.
Your net worth is something extremely important, and maybe people don't have the right tools to do it or know the right way to approach it, because when you can adequately calculate for yourself what your net worth is, the opportunities that may open up are significant.
Yeah.
And it may show you the other things you have access to, not just in partnership, but in your own businesses you want to start. Because the same things you talked about with trying to finance a big real estate project could be similar criteria for getting a loan for a business or for the other things you want to do. And I guess one important message is start to know for yourself your net worth by better understanding that asset liability conversation.
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing we say all the time, like understanding your buying power.
Yeah.
It's just like, I look at that as like you're getting a pre-approval letter and you're really finding out, you're taking that blindfold off to really see where you are right now.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can see what opportunities are out there for you when it comes to buying power. So it's kind of like the same thing we always say, understanding your net worth. And a lot of times, like we tell our buyers, you're better off than where you think you are right now. You know? So then you can really open up your mind to be able to do deals, to be able to create your own business, create an LLC, and take that leap of faith.
Well, beyond faith, risk. I think like a better understanding of net worth and all the stuff the bank is doing with looking at both your liquidity and your net worth is all about assessing how risky are you to them to give money. But you got to have a better understanding for yourself of how much risk you can take on because of all the stuff behind you. That's why shout out to Northwest Mutual. My Northwest Mutual main portal is my primary tool for kind of checking net worth.
Absolutely.
Because I plug in my properties, I plug in all my whole value life insurance policies, any investments I've got, everything financially that's connected to me, even including some of Lindsay's stocks and stuff. It lets us look at where is our entire net worth picture
on one page. I think that's the simple
on one
thing,
page,
like
on one
you
portal,
said,
and it took time to both build up and plug into it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
That's one of the many benefits of working with a financial planner professional is they help you better organize it, and it didn't start where it is now. Like that's something that's been built up over
I got
time.
a question for you. Did you start to want to know what your net worth was when you were more comfortable understanding money, or was it like from day one when you wasn't? A lot of times it's uncomfortable talking about that stuff,
Yeah.
and really do I really want to know where I'm at from a net worth perspective, because I might be in the negative,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a real thing that a lot of times the reason a lot of people don't have that conversation and talk about it because they really don't want to know, or they may not think that they are better than where they are right now, but it's important, right? So you can start to, get yourself out of that. But when did you want to start? When were you comfortable, like, going through that exercise?
For me, it was probably somewhere in between. Like when I first started out, I did not have enough to think I needed to calculate and look at. And in hindsight, I really wish I had more of a hyper focus on those numbers, even though it wasn't crazy negative early because my student debt wasn't crazy. But if I had that all in one place, it would never be a fearful what if or a mythical number. It'd be specific. And I feel like in any situation, when people are working towards a goal, be it athletics, be it business, be it relationship, be it whatever, clarity is power. Like you got to be real specific. So for me, I started with my financial planner probably in 2009, like right after college, when I, $100 a month.
Bro, I was a junior in college.
Term life policy.
Junior in college.
Oh yeah.
Bro, but look, that was yearly income was maybe 35, 40,000.
But that's a year after
early.
college, though. That's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, it was like right away. Yeah,
Yeah, you got it going
but
right away.
but I had a good friend that was
Yeah.
a financial planner, Northwest Mutual, helped me out with it. And I had those access to those net worth tools then.
Yeah.
But I only had one whole value life insurance, one checking account, one savings account,
Yeah.
and like a half a custodial credit card or something. That
You knew what it was already. You didn't have to check that often.
Facts.
Only $100 was
You know
going
that-
out there.
Facts.
Well, how many
Facts.
months it's been?
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah, was
Right.
I on it? Man, knew what my rent was. But I used to even track my. It's funny. I would track my DJ income, my real estate closings, all that in just one of them paper calendars.
You had time,
every
didn't
month.
you?
Oh, I had so
Yeah,
much time.
just-
A lot of
Way too much
time.
You had
Way
time
too
to
much
check
time.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Keith James.
What's up,
Actually, excuse me.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Kennett's in the building today.
It is I.
It is him. He is him.
I am him.
You are him. Yes. him.
You wear that him hoodie I got you?
I am, man. Yeah.
Him.
Absolutely. I am him.
So Keith
What's up?
always has this phrase that he says, it's like, I like to have my peace of mind. And so even though we talk about these numbers and all of this financial metrics and
Yeah.
all of this stuff, when it boils down to it, you got to be comfortable with what you have. So
Facts.
how do you think about money and peace of mind? Do you have a number where you say, once I hit this goal, I'm good? Or are you saying I got to have a certain cash flow goal? Or are you saying like, I don't
Yeah.
mind working? Some people say they don't mind working forever because like they enjoy what they do. I think I'm one of those people. I don't know why I would retire. I was trying to think about it.
Yeah.
One of those people.
That likes to work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to work.
Okay.
Dang, you trying to say I'm
Are
lazy,
you
bro?
saying
I'm
he
not
don't
saying you're
work?
lazy.
No.
What are you saying?
Well,
But
yeah.
someone who is energized by work or someone who it takes energy to do the work and do a good job.
No, it just depends on what the work is.
Yeah.
Some of the work that I have to do, it takes energy away from me. But some of the work
Yeah.
that I do, I really enjoy. So if I can do more of what I want and less of what I don't, then life's great.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But like if I'm doing some, you come take my job and see how you feel about it.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's where I was going to.
You come take my job and come see how
I
you
don't
feel
want
about
for you
it.
to work forever. As your friend, I
Right,
just want that
right,
for you. That's what I'm
right,
saying.
right.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you.
Nah, you good.
What is enough? Was the question?
Yeah,
How do you
yeah. I mean,
approach
what is like? How do you think about that? I don't necessarily know we need like a straight number from you
Yeah.
per se, but just like how your mind working on that?
Man, it's funny because it's not even a dollar amount. I don't even, people say, do you have a number? But I kind of dictate that by the time I have to spend with my family, to be quite frank with you. That's how I measure it. Like, can I go take a month vacation? And for the last 2 years, I've been blessed enough to be able to go take that vacation, right? And so now, can I take 2 months away from
Hey,
business?
chill, bro. Hey, chill, bro.
I won't call home. I promise I won't call, okay? Without the kids. You feel me? I won't call home. But seriously, man, I want to be able to take, I never forget when I first got in the Keller Williams, we were in career visioning or something like that. Somebody said, when you got a real business, when you could take 6 months off and your business is still taking market share.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've always thought about that, and I want that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I want that, you
Yeah.
know, and whatever that looks like, you always talk about like, don't worry about the how, but that's what I want, But also, I say that, and in the same breath, man, I'm like, Mitch, man, I love the game. I be feeling like Magic and Bird when I'm out here in the streets, man. I love the game. You feel
I
me?
love the game, B.
I love the game,
I
B.
love the game, B.
Shout out to my boy Angelo, my right-hand man who keeps me going. But you talk about retirement, man. I don't even think that I can retire. I look up, my youngest kid is going to be gone when I'm 42 years old. You know what I mean?
You have nothing to
year.
do.
It's a great year. It's a great
Right,
age.
right. And I just want to live life and do my thing. And that's kind of how I measure it, that me being able not to be stressed about money.
I think the great Bob Marley asked the man, "What is rich?"
Yeah.
He made him define rich because so many people. He said, "Are you rich?" He said,
Right.
What is that? What does that even mean?
Right.
And so, we got some peers that say they define rich as the ability to do what you want to do with whom you want to do it with, when you want to do it with.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a mindset. It's not even a
that's
number. You know what I
definitely a
mean?
mindset.
That's
That's
a
100%
mindset.
a mindset game.
We read the psychology of money, and it talks about that a lot in that book. And for me, that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's me being comfortable, having that peace of mind, because you can't put a price tag on peace of mind.
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
At the end of the day.
For sure.
Keith gave me a book that I just started listening to.
Oh yeah.
Oh, which one?
The Gap in the Game.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
The Gap in the Game. And there was actually a great quote that pertains exactly to this, asking a multi-millionaire what their definition of making it, what was enough. And for them, it was real specific. It was like, I don't have to dress up for nobody. I can show up when I want to. I can participate in the things I want to. I can give to what I want to. I can do what I want.
Now you see why I like that book so much.
Yeah.
What does that sound like?
Dude, it's powerful because in the whole concept behind Gap in the Game is helping, especially driven, goal-oriented folks really appreciate and celebrate milestones and gains and not just focus on the gap or what you haven't done or what you missed, right? A lot of folks keeps you up at night, get stressed out about it, and I know that's me. That's 1,000% me what I've done, but thank you for giving me that, and that was a very good perspective.
Brother. I got you, man. And shout out to our good friend on the West Coast, Ben Kinney, because we actually, the group that we're part of, the Metrics Group, gave us that book at a time where we were in a place where we was like mentally drained, and that book came right on time.
Yeah,
because sometimes our mindset is, because of where we come from, we want to grind, but we never take the time to celebrate where we've come, how far we've come, and I think that's important too, because you can find peace in that celebration.
Mm-hmm. I think what's interesting is, like, for the most part, like, I think also, like, do you feel rich? Right, we got this big old real estate business.
Right.
And still there's this psychology around, I don't feel rich.
No.
I don't think I'm rich by any means, but I definitely don't feel it.
Right.
Right. And I think what's interesting about it is that I think my life is great still.
Yeah.
I just don't feel rich. And those are almost like two different things to me.
Yeah.
Like, my life, can I go and travel? If I need to take off, I got my team support.
Yeah.
If I need to go take a few days or a few weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, things are still moving along. Are we taking market share? Probably not. But we're not losing ground.
Yeah.
And I think any one of us can lead, which is the power of partnership there.
1,000%. The power of partnership, for sure. And the way it's crazy, because when we were kids, we're talking about $1 million. Like, that was the goal.
100%.
I want $1 million and I'm good.
Yeah.
Rappers, everybody. I mean, and granted, inflation's
MF.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different words.
On both sides.
Yeah. But still, that was like, man, I mean, think about me rap songs, $1 million, like that fat sum, or even a Blank Check. Remember the movie with the kid movie where he got a check for $1 million?
Yeah.
He had a whole mansion, had staff.
Yeah.
He probably couldn't do it back then.
Absolutely.
Where, in like Dublin, Ohio or something?
Okay,
I don't know, like
wherever.
Man, that was the goal, bro.
For sure.
Like $1 million, like $1 million. I remember when Wayne dropped $1 million. Like, that was like the goal.
And
man.
Jay came back with $1 billion.
$1 billion, right?
Yeah,
I was
different.
like, okay, Jay might have some.
Well, that's interesting, right? Because that just shows the financial shift that's happening.
Yeah.
If we're being honest about it. Where $1 million's not $1 million no more.
It's not.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where $1 million is great. And if you're older and you got $1 million, you're probably good.
Absolutely.
To live out your life and everything like that. But I know some millionaires who are, retired. They still feel like they got to go work a little bit because they're missing a couple grand here or there every month. Yep. And even though they're living off an annuity or they're living off something else, that there's still something that they feel is missing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny. I wanted to pull up this Instagram post. The top 1% of each age bracket, ages between the ages of 25 to 29. That's 80,000.
Not you.
Right?
Keep going.
I'm starting at the beginning, bro. I'm starting at the beginning. Ages 30 to 34. That's
that
400,000.
That still ain't you, man. Go ahead.
Oh, you really trying to make me feel my age now. I just had a birthday.
Just left it.
35 to 39 is 1.2.
Yeah.
Top 1% of each age bracket.
Net worth?
Yeah, net worth. Correct. Yeah. 40 to 44, 3.2. 45 to 49 is 5.2 million. 50 to 54 is 7 million. 55 to 59, 8 million. 60 to 64, 9 million.
Yeah. Interesting. Look at that jump between what?
25,
the jump from 400.
Bro, it's the jump from 400 to 1.2. Ages 30 to 34 and 35 to 39.
Big jumps.
Big jumps.
That's when I feel like people start thinking about it, though. That's when you really start thinking about it for real. And it's connected too, like, to me, like, to mortality and looking at like how long I'm actually gonna live and what I actually have to pay for while I'm on this earth, what life will actually cost, that makes me think more about all of this in detail, and having a proper estate plan, all of those other tools we talked about. I think your net worth's directly connected to it.
I think also there's going to be part of it is that you've kind of hit your stride in your earning potential.
Peak earning.
As one.
I'm not going to say peak because I think, well, it depends. Male, female,
Yeah.
they got statistics around it where men kind of hit their stride in their 40s, and kind of getting close to 50. But you're hitting a stride where you're like, all right, I can let my legs fly a little bit. Like they're strong enough to take some deep strides. And you start looking up and you can look around and say, okay, what can I do now with the money that I'm making? What kind of assets can I buy? How can I invest?
But I think ultimately the fundamental thing is why we always talk about group economics too, is there's going to be a cap when you're going by yourself.
By yourself is a cap.
It's
Can't
a
do it
cap.
all.
You can't do it all, and what's the quote? You can run fast by yourself, but you can run far together. And that right there, what we see and what we've been through and experienced, that's just the ultimate truth.
So there's an interesting blog that I follow, Financial Samurai. It's one of the things I follow. I'm not sure if you guys seen those guys.
You sent it to us.
Financial Samurai. And he did a kind of analysis on the income needed to feel comfortable. And there were two numbers that, one number is kind of known. I think they said somewhere around between 70, 75,000. After that, your happiness doesn't increase.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a number here in DC.
Absolutely not.
So he actually kind of came up with a second number, which is the amount of number you would need to feel comfortable. And the way he defined it is you got a nice house, nice car, send your kids to private school, go on vacations every year. You're not buying yachts and private jets, and
But you can participate in the consumer economy too.
You might end up on a private jet because of the people
100%. And so the two numbers were the number what it used to be, at least how he defined it, was $3 million net worth. Okay. $3 million net worth. And then the new number that he's saying is $10 million net worth. The reason being is that at $10 million, assuming that was all in the stock market, for example, quite simply, you should be able to get $300,000 a year back if
After
the stock
tax and
market,
stuff,
the stock market gives on average, call it 7%,
right?
And then you take 3% of that, the total percentage, and you leave the rest in the market to kind of keep building.
Growing.
You're living off $300,000 a year. So at $300,000 a year, that's $25,000 a month. I mean, we can break that down now and say you got $1 million crib. What's that? 5, 6, 7 grand, somewhere between 5 and 7 grand, depending on how much down you have.
Now around 7,000. Yeah. Well.
Okay, 7,000.
You knew that number
Big boy
pretty
cribs.
fast.
Big boy cribs up in here. All right.
Right.
Keith told me when he grows up, he want to buy a house like Harrison. I just know that.
And my daughter told me that after she left out of Harrison house, like, Dad, I like our house, but
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
oh, you're talking about the drip.
Okay.
But your house has 4 levels. Mine only has 3.
And mine has 2.5. So I want to be like Keith when I grow up. I just got to start with Keith, and then I can go with
So
Harrison.
just said you got to get the rooftop deck.
Need a little space,
Yeah. All right.
Grew up into it, but I started my financial planning journey
with $100 a month. So I thought it was interesting though, like $300,000. I think if we break that down, that seems, I don't know how. I think it feels good.
Yeah.
Like if I had $300,000 a year and I wasn't working for it, for sure.
Yeah, if I was receiving $300,000,
25 grand a month. I mean, 7 grand here. What you gonna pay? 3 or 4 grand for your kids' tuition. If you can send them, you can send them to private school. Then, if you're making that kind of money, I'm assuming. I don't know.
one of them in DC.
Is that how? I don't know how it works, but that number sounds good to
We
me.
about to learn them numbers in detail real soon. You know that.
Facts.
You can put your kids. So you got your. You can have a nice car.
Yeah.
Because even a nice car, if we're being honest, if you got the money, it don't cost that much a month compared to. Because a couple grand is a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money.
Right.
But if you're making $25,000 a month and you're not really too worried. Total percentage. You're not worried about it too much, right? Assuming you're not overspending in other areas. You can have that type of luxury. And then, so we got house, car,
Trips,
kids.
eating out,
and then eating out, drip. Like, you got another, 15 grand. Another 10 grand to do those types of things. And then, another 25 grand is coming next month. So you can spend it all the way down if you want to.
That's big.
So I thought it was interesting, just a way to perspective to look at that. And maybe that doesn't take $10 million to do that, because that's $10 million liquid net worth, stock accounts, etc. Or you can say, what would it take for me to get $25,000 a month in cash flow through real estate, which we know we can get there a lot faster.
Right.
There's a little bit more risk on there because we're taking on debt, but we can get there faster, and we know that it works.
Facts.
So it's an interesting way to look at it. For me, that's my path because I'm super familiar with real estate. But I guess by all intents and purposes, an expert in real estate in some capacity. So that's the path I'm going to go because I have the most knowledge there.
Right.
Well, and for a lot of people, you can get there for pennies on a dollar. I mean, that's why we like it. There are so many ways to build wealth and a lot of avenues that exist. But in terms of the capital you need up front or the like raw thing you need that gets you a much more extreme return, real estate just makes a lot of sense for folks because you can get there for literally pennies on a dollar.
Yeah, and it has the biggest tax breaks, which, if you're making that kind of money, you're going to pay a lot in taxes.
Yeah.
And when you're buying real estate, you're insulated by paying those taxes.
I think the other thing I would say, maybe to wrap this up, is around the mindset of it all. Yeah. Because there's a difference between income and wealth. There's a difference between you can make 50 grand a year and be a millionaire. We've seen plenty of teachers do it.
Yeah.
People, government workers, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about it is that there's a group of people, and I know I was one of them too.
Yeah.
I was big on it, where they call them Henrys. High income, not rich yet. Y'all heard that before?
High income, not rich
High
yet.
income, not rich yet.
Yeah, especially around here.
Especially around here.
Yeah.
Because when I came out, I was in an engineering degree. So for a 23, 24-year-old, I had pretty high income.
Right.
And it was frustrating because I saw this money coming in. I saw a lot of it going out through bills I had to pay, student loans, etc. And then even when I didn't have to pay that anymore, I still felt like I was so behind. So there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of anxiety behind having high income and feeling like the income that you're earning doesn't match up with the type of lifestyle you want to be living. And so that's so important to nip that in the bud, or at least acknowledge and recognize that exists, because otherwise you'll get caught trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah,
keep up with the Joneses.
Short-term sacrifice for
long-term success.
Yeah. And again, everyone can get there, even with what doesn't feel like a life-changing amount of money. It just takes some plan, strategy, and moderate sacrifice, too. That's the other piece, too. I feel like there's so many podcasts that scream about, like, I got to be willing to grind. I'm going to eat my ramen. I'm going to
tap in. Hey, you seen that meme? Tap in. My man had the negative $9,000. Tap in.
I did see that one, yeah.
You can get there, man. You can definitely do it.
No, you can totally get there to the millionaire status. This podcast wasn't to make you feel like you can't get there. It was really just to pull the curtain behind. Demystify these things, this information around being a millionaire and wealth building and strategies around it, because sometimes I feel like we don't even know where to begin or how to even have the conversation because we don't have the vocabulary or the words to even talk about it.
Yeah. Right.
And so what we tried to do today was really pull those curtains behind, but we also want to acknowledge that I know people who have sub 6-figure salaries that are building wealth at a very high clip.
Empires.
They're building their empires because they're saving their funds. They're putting it towards things that matter to them when they spend, and then they're investing the rest in things that can increase their net worth, like real estate, like their 401ks, like their Roth IRAs, all those different vehicles that increase their net worth, so their money is working for them instead of them just working for money all the time.
Right. So you would say on the cash flow quadrant, they're heading towards the I quadrant as the investor, where they can take off and money's still being made for them.
Cash flow quadrant is E for employee,
Yep.
S for self-employed, B for business, and then I for investor. And in the end, the I for investor is where the
most money is made in the world.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, how much is $1 million really? I say it is actually life-changing money. It can be. But it's not necessarily world-changing money. And we were younger, I would think that like $1 million was like world-changing money.
Facts.
And I guess the more you know, the more folks we have the good fortune to get to know and see their businesses and better understand. They'll be like, oh, $1 million's cute. Like $1 million's a good start. But it is still something that people are closer to than they think, and that from a planning and strategy standpoint, like you could actually map out a path there. And it's something we've been really fortunate to help people, like see people over the course of our careers, get very close, if not exceed it, when they didn't think they could.
30-year real estate plans.
Yeah.
Our millionaire clubs, all types of things that we're doing for our community that really gets them to that millionaire status and understand where they are from an investment standpoint.
All right, final tip is some resources. Keith, you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad, any other book and or resource for helping people track the net worth and get to that $1 million net worth?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Also, The Millionaire Next Door is another book to check out.
Ryan, any other resources to share? You mentioned Samurai Ninja. Dollar Bill Slicer.
Wu-Tang.
Shogun.
Oh my God.
Shogun with the penny.
You never fail, man. You are 100%.
Yeah.
Every time, bro. Every time. No, it wasn't. But just consistency with your phrasing, man. Like it's just so consistent. So
are those Lululemons, bro?
Of course, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Shout out to
they got the camouflage Lulus?
These actually discontinued, man. This
dude got a
you
special.
You can resell them.
I ain't never. These are my favorite.
Oh, okay.
We got the camouflage Lulus on. So I would say the continuation of Rich Dad Poor Dad is Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yeah.
You want that so you can understand cash flow, because net worth is awesome. That allows you to do a lot of things. But to kind of the next part of this conversation, we'll be talking about cash flow.
Yeah, we're
and
gonna
how
talk
that works.
about that,
And so I would say do Cash Flow Quadrant. The other book I would say is probably because it's relevant right now, Ramit Sethi, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's a cheesy name, but it's a New York Times bestseller for years.
Yeah.
And now he's just on Netflix with that show. I was just talking about it. It was like Want to Be Rich or something like that. He's on Netflix right now with How to Get Rich. That's the name of it. Yeah. Right. So I would say those two resources would be good.
My final two, to really break down simple financial principles, The Motley Fool's Investment Guide for Teens. I've talked about this a lot. I was given it when I was like 10 years old. My stepdad helped me just understand a lot of these basic money concepts, assets, liabilities, compound interest, powerful tools. And then the most recent gift from these two guys, The Gap and the Gain, which was by, who was that by? Shoot. We're going to post it. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, The Gap and the Gain.
Yeah.
We thank y'all. Oh, you got one more? You got something else here?
I did have one more.
Yeah, go. Give him.
The Psychology of Money.
And
from a mindset perspective.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah, psychology.
From a mindset perspective, the psychology of money.
Yeah, money's a tool, man. That's what last nerdy pivot. Crypto. The coolest thing about crypto is it changed the way we thought about what gave our money value, right? Like they created coins that went up in all this worth because other people said they were worth something, but then when it wasn't backed by anything physical.
When you said that I was going the other way, I was probably going with Gordon Gekko for Wall Street. When you said money's a tool,
money never sleeps.
No, but look, the psychology of money is an important concept.
Yeah, for sure.
This was dope, Ryan. Thank you. Good concept, good conversation. Appreciate it. Hope y'all found it helpful.
Thank you so much.
I feel like a conscious rapper now.
A conscious rap. This dude up. You already got the common glasses on, so you good,
man.
Bro. Go. Go.
All right, friends. If you enjoyed this conversation, what we need you to do is go to our YouTube page, find the playlist that has all of our All Blends Perfectly episodes, share them, give them a 5-star review, text it to somebody directly. That's what we need your help with. You can find us on Instagram at All Blends Perfectly. Our team page is at Coalition Properties. I am at HL Beach. He is at Ryan Butler Hoya, and he is at Keith James Realtor. We appreciate you so much for tapping into All Blends Perfectly, and we will see you on the next episode.